Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Dara O'Connor.
Yo, what's going on? It's Leon Slater, and you are listening to Dara O'Connor on the Wrestling Rewind. You get me?
I'm Tom Hannifan from TNA Wrestling. You're listening to the Wrestling Rewind.
The Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling. My name is Dara O'Connor. Welcome to the show. We have a very interesting show this week. An interview that I got to do with TNA's Tom Hannifan a couple of weeks ago. It was great to sit down with Tom, have an actually really good in-depth discussion about where TNA are now, the string of live events that they have coming up between now and the end of March, TNA's move to AMC Plus in the US, and of course Sportsnet 360 and TNA Plus worldwide. Absolutely fantastic interview. It was really cool to talk with Tom about TNA's past, some of the cool matches that he liked as a fan. A really, really good interview. So please do let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you to TNA for setting it up. Tom, thank you very much for sitting down with me, man. I really do appreciate it. Look, you're the voice welcoming people to TNA in this era every single week. What's that like, and what's the feeling inside the company now as we go into this string of live events?
It's a spectacular responsibility, and honestly something that I have been working towards for many years, to have the responsibility to be the voice of the company, to represent TNA in that fashion. It's a tremendous honor, and I never take it for granted. And it's really cool to see where we're at this point, because when I first signed on with the company in 2022, some of the questions I was asking were, hey, do we want to get to a bigger network? Are we trying to get to more live TV? Those sorts of things. So to see us make this incremental progress to where we are now, this huge opportunity with AMC, it just means the world to me. It means the world to a lot of people that have been with this company for over a decade and have been through the good times, the bad times, that sort of stuff. So we're just in a spot now where it's like, hey, we've got this opportunity. This is great, but now the work has begun, and I think we're having a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And look, before we get into the TV deals and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of stuff's happening there, TNA is really... It's a great buzz period at the moment. It's really cool to see. For someone who's never been to a TNA live event before, what's that like? What makes it different from seeing it on TV?
I just think it's the energy. I think it's the energy of our roster, and it's the thing that continues to impress me over the years, is that even though there is turnover like any wrestling roster, you're gonna get to see some incredible rising talent that maybe isn't a household name, but you're gonna realize just how talented they are pretty quickly. You're gonna see guys that you're familiar with, maybe from their time in WWE or AEW, that are in TNA, and guys like Mike Santana, just got Bear Bronson on board, guys like Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young, who are lifelong TNA guys in and out of the company, sure. People like Moose and Eddie Edwards, who are synonymous with TNA. And then, oh, by the way, if you come to a TNA show, you will probably see the freaking Hardys. Like Matt and Jeff Hardy are still doing it in 2026. They're living legends. They're the GOATs for a reason. So we've got an awesome roster, men's, women's, tag team. The energy is always palpable when you go to a TNA event.
And from swapping over, from swapping over to a different TV network on AMC, has that kind of changed the energy of Impact from actually calling the show week to week, or is it, more the same kind of stuff?
The energy is still there, because I was always trained, if you're not enthusiastic and energetic about it, then how can the fans expect to be? So I've attempted to call every show I've ever been on the same way, with the same enthusiasm and energy, regardless of the company I've been with. If anything, for Matthew Raywalt and I, it's having to explain a few more things than usual. And when you're watching weekly episodic, you are familiar with what the story was that was told last week. You're familiar with these characters. We go into the assumption as commentators every single week now on AMC, you might be discovering us for the very first time. You might have no idea who some of these people are, despite how established they may be. So we have to over-explain a little bit. articulate a little bit more than usual, give a little bit more detail, but hopefully it turns into fans tuning in again the next week or buying a ticket, something like that. So it's a little bit of extra work, but it's a good practice, and honestly something that we should develop into a little bit more of a rhythm, because I was always trained you never know when there's going to be a new viewer. So you're constantly trying to attract more people.
And on that point as well, TNA has a reputation for being very unpredictable. You know, anything can really happen in TNA. It's what the company was built on. How real is that for you now? Jumping over to TNA, and has there been a moment recently when the crowd locked into that and you're like, yes, here we go?
Speaking of the Hardys, moments ago, when Jeff Hardy returned in Chicago a few years ago, there were rumblings about it on social media, that sort of thing. And then when he came out, it just the place erupted. It was absolutely incredible. So pro wrestling is at its best when it's unpredictable. And I think that's been the joy of this partnership we have with WWE, is that we've created some moments between WWE, NXT, TNA, where the unpredictable moments happen, and that's when this business is at its best. So I think we're discovering more of those things, and hopefully we're giving the fans what they want, or even instances that they didn't even realize that they wanted. And, you know, Bound for Glory this past October, we got Leon Slater versus Javon Evans. Like, it was incredible. And obviously Dark State ruined that match, but unfortunately ruined that match. But man, like, there was a point where I don't know if anybody had that on their bingo card. And then all of a sudden when it was put out there, everybody's like, this is going to be awesome. And those two killed it. So moments like that. And also like the retirement of Team 3D, the Dudleys at Bound for Glory, like tugging at your heartstrings, you know, just things from your childhood that have come and gone. It's just, that's the beauty of this stuff, man. It's the best.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's your work has been fantastic since coming over to TNA, but man, what a year to call, right?
I know, seriously.
It really is incredible. So like, as a TNA is on this massive push at the moment, it's really, really cool to see. And these live dates reflect it. I mean, like, you're starting off in Nashville, you know, at the pinnacle. That's the early home of TNA. What's that like to kind of step back in to where it all began?
It's great. I actually live in Nashville now, so getting to be a little bit more connected with our production team and our television studio that's been here for a long time, and the company having roots in Nashville to the very beginning of the company, it's really special. So it's always nice for us to be able to come back. It's been a few years since I believe we were back here in Nashville, Tennessee. Obviously, I believe it was the lead up to Bound for Glory 2024. We had to pivot due to some hurricane damage that was sustained here in the United States. So it was cool to be back here, but now it's like, hey, this is on our terms, and it's a great venue at the Pinnacle. And it just feels like another opportunity for us to come together and build on this opportunity with AMC. And things are positive within this first month. So now it's like, hey, it's another chance up to bat. So I'm really excited to see what we do in Nashville.
And then you're moving down towards Atlanta and New Orleans. You know, big cities, big wrestling towns. How important is that to the overall TNA live experience? Have you got any plan to tell us?
No, I don't have any. I don't have any insight in terms of what's on deck, but it's just really great. Like, even like Atlanta in the past, we've worked the historic Center Stage venue, and now we're working a larger building. So it's just an example of what we've been able to do for many, many years, and trying to build and grow. So it's been an example of that progress. And that going to New Orleans, that's just a fun time. We'll see how many people we lose on Bourbon Street, but I don't think we will, but it should be a good time nonetheless at the Hilario Center.
No, absolutely. It's TNA really has that touring schedule locked in now, and you guys are hitting some really fun cities. I'm looking forward to seeing what they are. Venues are growing bigger, which is great, but I have to say I love the TNA production style now on Thursday nights. The show looks great. AMC seems to be a cool partner for you guys in the US. Obviously over here in Ireland, the UK, it's a little bit different, but how big was that move for you guys to have AMC, and then, obviously the production is top notch?
It was incredible because when it was announced, it kind of came out of left field for some people, and that I was like, oh, AMC. I think a lot of people were pointing towards properties that had wrestling in the past, or maybe a sports property or a streaming platform, something like that. But AMC is this great legacy network and has had some incredible shows like Mad Men and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And they're putting great stuff on the air right now, like Dark Winds. So we're really excited about this opportunity because it is on a larger scale. And like for me as an individual, my family and friends can pull it up every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So it's like, oh, it's easier to find than it was in the past. And it just gives us some exposure that I think everybody's been working for. Everybody's been working to try and get us to someplace bigger and greater. And seeing the way that AMC is invested in us as much as we are invested in them feels like a really good partnership right now.
Absolutely. And look, that's in the UK, in the US. In the UK, we have TNA Plus, and in Canada, you guys have Sportsnet 360. What's the reaction been like in the locker room on that? Because obviously, it's visibility super important. But how has the locker room reacted to a bigger audience, a bigger stage?
I think it's just, I think it's a chance to show what we're all about. And my broadcast colleague Matthew Raywald has talked about it in some interviews recently. So he's thinks about, the NXT black and gold era, and the similarities are that, NXT was broadcast strictly internationally and on Hulu before Hulu was really the major player that it is now. Mm-hmm. This was prior to 2014. And you had this incredible roster that was trying to prove itself, and everybody had a chip on their shoulder, whether in front of or behind the camera for one reason or another. And then that group got the opportunity on the WWE Network in 2014, and then years later on USA Network, and it just got bigger and bigger. It's a similar feeling. I agree with what Raywald has said, is that going from Access TV now to AMC, it's a huge leap. It's a really big opportunity for us. So I think there's people on our roster that have had opportunities in places where they're accustomed to this and they can be a stabilizing presence. And there's other people that are discovering this for the first time. It's just a matter of everybody working together as a team and trying to make it all come together. So I think we've done a really good job about that, and realizing that we're up for the task. We're up for the challenge.
Mm-hmm. And look, that so far it's been a hole in one, a home run. It's night and day to really see these leaps that TNA are making. I love the NXT comparison. It really does feel like that underdog that's really killing it week to week. So that's really cool to hear. But look, as I said, I mentioned TNA Plus, and I have to ask, as a fan, are there any standout matches, any PLEs from the TNA Vault on TNA Plus that you go back to, or that you're like, hey, this is what TNA is all about to newcomers?
Ooh, I talked about it on a recent interview, so I won't repeat that one, but I'll say Overdrive 2022, Frankie Kazarian versus Josh Alexander for the TNA World Championship. I loved that match. So, I mentioned that on another interview, but I will say, because I saw it brought up recently by Abyss, the first lockdown match, Abyss and AJ Styles. A million years ago at this point, but man, just two of the all-time greats going at it, man. It's just, God, there's just been some really classic moments in this company, whether it's going all the way back into the Vault from 2002 to now. It's so cool that I'm working with Ace Steel on a regular basis, and we have footage of Ace Steel and CM Punk wrestling in TNA at one point, and we've shown that on television. So it's everybody is, to one degree or another, had to stop in TNA. So we get to reference all these fun things and these moments that will live forever. I'm a huge fan of Rockstar Spud. He's a close friend. His match with EC3, I think, is an absolute classic in the history of this company and beyond that. So great storytelling. And that's the nice thing, is the TNA Plus, the library is enormous. So there's endless opportunities. Any match you wish you were in Mike Tenay's shoes to be able to call? Oh, I don't even know if a match see, that's the thing. I would never want to replace Mike and Don. That's true. So it killed me when they took Don off the air. I guess I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, I guess is the way I'll put it, for Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle when Kurt Angle first arrived. Like just to be sitting next to them, as they called it, just to like take in their energy. Also Bobby Roode and James Storm. The turn within Beer Money. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that. Like that's the thing. If you add yourself to it, you're egotistical. If you take somebody away from it, that's like, it's not fair. So I would never do that to somebody else. I have tons of respect for people that call professional wrestling past and present. So I would never take somebody's spot away or anything, but I would love to just kind of be sitting next to them. Like I got to do that. This is a side story. Ric Flair's last match event that went down in Nashville a couple of years ago. I got to sit next to Tony Schiavone as he called DDP hitting a diamond cutter. Wow. And I said nothing. I was so excited. It was awesome. So stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to live those moments.
That's awesome, dude. That really is. But look, before I let you go, for fans listening right now, maybe they've never checked out TNA before. Why is this the perfect time to jump into TNA wrestling?
It's the perfect time because we're finally getting the opportunity that this roster deserves. We're finally getting the opportunity to show what we're all about. This is an underdog story. This company has an underdog story. So if there is ever somebody to root for, it's TNA Wrestling. And I love that this company has owned its scars ever since the beginning. We understand the good times. We understand the bad times, but it's realizing that we're in a really good time right now and it's only going to get better. And this is a team in front of him behind the camera that's learning. And hopefully every single week we're putting something better on the air than the last for our fans. And this is geared towards giving our fans what they want. And I think there's a lot of TNA fans that have stuck with the company through some tough times. This is for them. This is for them. And if you're a new fan of TNA, we are thrilled to have you. Come on board. There is no tribalism when it comes to TNA. Like, we just would like to entertain people.
Fantastic. Sir, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.